Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm back here in the studio another week. This week I had on Anthony Kozlowski, who I've been a big fan of on TikTok for about as long as I've been on TikTok. He posts funny videos. They're practically just like rants that he has this weird mind where he can just yell at the camera or like talk to the camera about anything and make it entertaining. So I've been following him for a long time, and I recently just hit him up for an interview. And I don't know. I say this every podcast. It's my favorite podcast I've ever done. So obviously we're doing something correctly. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, great show planned. I don't think I'm gonna do any rambling after because we went a full hour, a little over an hour actually. So no rambling after. Sorry, you don't get me talking about stuff that's probably gonna get me canceled. In this podcast, we talk about kind of how he got started on TikTok. What do you credit his success to TikTok with? Why, like a lot of the stuff he's picked up on, his goals for the future with creating content. He's on YouTube as well. I should probably mention that. We talk about like a lot of the qualities that you should have if you're trying to make it in this business. He's a really knowledgeable dude. Like I said, he's successful on TikTok. He's got like almost 700K on TikTok. His YouTube videos do well. If you want to take advice from a guy, you should take it from him. And also, if you don't want to take advice, it's just a fun conversation. He's a funny dude. Love this podcast. Thanks to Anthony. We'll see you guys, and here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Anthony Kozlowski of TikTok, YouTube fame. Anthony, how's it going, dude?
It's going good, man. I mean, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Dude, this is like, I think this is the most nervous I've ever been for a podcast. I'm just going to say it right here and just bring it up.
Dude, don't be nervous at all.
Because I've been like, I wasn't really on the TikTok train for a long time, but I got into it around November. And you were like one of the first TikTokers that I actually started like following and watching. So this is kind of like a starstruck moment for me, if I'm being completely transparent. But let's start off just how old are you and like where are you at in the globe?
I'm 19 right now, and I'm in Chicago. So
dang, yeah, that's what I thought you were over there. Has the winter been like brutal? Because from your TikToks, it looks.
Yeah, the winter, honestly, it's been kind of weird. It's been kind of a bitch. Like we got like at first it was like no snow, like all through Christmas and stuff. Like there was nothing, and then I think like as soon as February started, like we got like fucking like a whole foot of snow, and it was just like crazy.
Yeah.
And now it's literally all melted. So it's like the weather here is just so bipolar. It gets annoying sometimes. But I guess it is.
Yeah, that's a lot how it is here. I'm in like southern Utah in this weird spot between like a super nice like hot place and then just winter wasteland. It's really it's just like that. It was warm through like December and all of a sudden it's just bitter now. I don't know what to do about it. But yeah. So that's awesome. So you're on here mostly. I know you from TikTok mostly. So let's start with that. When did you start doing TikTok and what kind of was your life looking like?
So I don't know. I mean, if you want me, honestly, I'll start just like from the beginning of like everything, I guess, to kind of like better pace it out. So honestly, before I even did TikTok, I actually had a like comedy podcast that I started I think it was going into my senior year of high school. I was kind of like, you know what, fuck it. Because the reason actually that I started the podcast was because I wanted to start doing stand-up. But at all the places that I looked up around me, for some reason, a lot of times in Chicago, you had to be 18 and I was 17 at the time. So I was like, shit, like if I can't go like, you know, do like comedy clubs or whatever, I'll start a podcast. That way I could at least, you know, work on, I guess, a little bit of bits and stuff and just kind of like get stuff going. And so I ended up doing that for almost an entire year. And then right around when quarantine started, probably, I think a year from like now, a year from March or whatever. And it was kind of getting to the point, you know, it was tough doing it every week with myself. And obviously it's tough to make fun of current events when nobody was allowed to go out of their house. So I mean, I was kind of like, fuck, like I can't just keep making fun of like current events and shit. Like I literally would have to, and on top of that, like it was tough to like make fun of things that happened in my day because I didn't leave my basement. So it was like, where was I supposed to go? And so anyways, I decided to kind of stop it, or originally in my head at the time, I was like, I'm going to put it on pause. And so then I was like, you know what? I might as well just start on TikTok because I feel like, you know, especially at that time, like TikTok was really starting to grow. And I posted a little bit on TikTok with like a couple of the podcast clips or whatever, but I wasn't like making TikToks. And then, I ended up starting making TikToks sometime around March. And I've been posting every single day since, and it's just kind of been a grind, I guess.
Yeah. So let's rewind a little bit, because I didn't know you were trying to do stand-up. That's super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so it's always been in the back of my head. That was honestly originally kind of like when I wanted to go this route, I was like, oh, I'm going to do comedy, like, oh, I'll do stand-up or whatever. And that was originally my main thought. But then I realized that, obviously shit just happens. I mean, first of all, I was 17. And then I actually was planning, because I turned 18 in January that year. And so the January 2020, I planned it on, as soon as I, turned 18, I was going to go to a comedy club or whatever. But the problem was I was kind of like at that cusp where like Corona was just coming in and stuff was starting to get weird. So I was like, shit, like, I don't know. And then in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just wait till this blows over in a couple months. And obviously it turned into a lot more than that.
Yeah. So that's actually, I don't know. Do you know who Justin Jarzonbeck is? He's on TikTok.
I love Justin. I'm friends with him. He's a great kid. Like I actually watched the episode that you had with him.
Oh, really?
Because when you emailed me, I was like, I looked at your stuff and I was like, looking at some videos and I was like, oh shit, Justin. And then I texted him and he was like, oh yeah. He was like, this guy's super cool. You should definitely do it. And I was like, yeah, 100%. I'm going to do the episode.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. So he was actually talking and he was kind of, I don't think he was doing TikTok at that time, but he was starting to do stand-up as soon as Corona hit, and that sucks, dude. So it shut all his stuff down too.
Terrible timing.
But at the same time, that kind of propelled you to do this TikTok thing, which launched you into this new thing.
Yeah, in my head, I was kind of like, oh, like what fucking horrible timing. Yeah. But like now I'm sitting here, 10, 11 months later, like realizing it was probably one of the best decisions or like one of the best things that could happen.
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't know you had a podcast until about an hour ago. And I was doing like some
You found it?
Yeah, I found it. I was doing some last minute
stuff.
Dude,
I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think, because I think it's only on Spotify. Did you find it on Spotify?
Yeah, I was looking at Spotify. So I was like, I'm going to do some last minute like research, see if I can find, because I was actually looking for like podcasts you may have been on. And so I look up your name and there was like a couple different ones, but there was one that was like, dang, what was it called? I'm Lost Too. Was that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that sounds like what Anthony would name it. So I click on it and I was like, this is definitely his. So I listened to one of the episodes that was like the giraffe song one. That's the one I just was listening to. It was funny, dude.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember. I mean, they're so random. I literally used to. Yeah, that podcast was literally all over the place. I remember the first like 10 episodes were just by myself, and all I would do is just like I would put like 2 topics on the screen or like 2 topics in my notes, and I would just run with it and make it an hour.
Because like I said, I didn't know you had a podcast, so I was gonna ask you like, have you ever thought about starting one? Because your TikToks are like I feel like you could you just talk about random stuff ad nauseum. So I feel like you have a talent for that, kind of just rambling on about that stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, obviously I think the podcast, like, I mean, if people would have probably, asked me or whatever and been like, oh, now I bet you kind of wish you started TikTok sooner. But honestly, I really don't, just because of the fact that like all that time with the podcast, like really made me a lot better at just like being able to like be quick and like be able to like get jokes going like really quick. And I think, it just made me better overall, so that when I actually started TikTok, like now I'm able to just like, get this stuff going and do those kind of videos that I do now.
Yeah. So when you first started, what kind of videos were you making? Was it kind of the same stuff as you're doing right now, or was it a lot different?
No, it was actually completely different. So I was kind of making like, I was kind of trying to like, my head was kind of in like the Vine area still. Yeah. And I was kind of like, oh, like they weren't 6 seconds, but I would try to make all my videos less than 15 seconds. Like I was kind of just like, especially because I was way too invested in like thinking about the algorithm of TikTok at the time. And, I kind of was like, oh, like if it's a 15-second video, like the longer people watch the video, like the more people are going to see it, I thought. But yeah, so I kind of made like, I don't even like just like quick Vine videos, stuff like that. Like they were really stupid. I looked back at them and I was like, I'm thinking about deleting some of them just because I was like, fuck. I was like, some of my friends, like 2 of my like really close friends, I would like send them to them first and be like, yo, is this funny? And every time they'd be like, yeah, it's pretty solid. And then I went back over them and some of them were just, straight garbage. I mean, when you start out, like someone would give you straight garbage, and then I hit them up, and I was like, dude, this was trash, and they were like, I know, we just didn't want to let you know, and I was like, damn, all right, well, thank you.
That's good friends. That's what you want, dude, when you're trying to make stuff.
Honestly, though, I did have one other friend though that would like straight up tell me and be like, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, this one's trash. And like, you know, at the time you're like, you know, it's kind of like fucked up, but like now thinking back, I'm like, you know what? They were trash. He wasn't lying. I can't really be mad at him.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing is like when I ask for people's opinion and they actually give it to me and I'm like, that's actually really rude. But like it's very constructive. That's what you need.
I actually have something very funny. It's kind of like a short little story.
Yeah, go for it.
When I had the podcast, I was like, I don't know, maybe like it was when I was like, I don't know, halfway through it, like 25 episodes or something, because I ended up making like around 50. And so I was walking in the hallway at school one day, and this girl was on the stairs, and she just like, who I like kind of knew, I was like kind of friends with, I just like knew her. And she was like, hey, I listen to your podcast. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, what'd you think? And she was like, it's okay. And just kept walking. And I was like, all right. I was like, I mean, be blatantly honest with me, I guess. I mean, I don't really, perfect. I mean, at least you're not lying to me.
Yeah. My favorite thing is like people will come up to me and they'll be like, hey, I actually listened to your podcast. And I was like, that's really sweet.
That's honestly, I know that people are like giving compliments, but that's like the worst, like, especially when I was first starting out. People would be like, yo, this was like actually funny. And I was like, that meant that you thought it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. People kind of don't understand what they're saying with their words. But
yeah.
Do you get like recognized a lot around? Are you in like Chicago, or like a suburb around it?
I'm like north side of Chicago, but the suburbs, I mean, the suburbs aren't like, they aren't like that far. Like I do go outside of Chicago a lot just because it's like, I mean, like, I am close to the city, but it's like there's so much traffic that way that it's just so much easier to go the other way a lot of times. So I think I've only been recognized like a few times. I mean, it's tough, I think, too, with like a mask and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like even people that I've known forever. Even today, I was at the gym actually, and one of my neighbors who I've literally known for like 20 years, like came up to say hi. And I was literally like, they saw it in my eyes that I was like thoroughly confused for a solid 15 seconds. And they were like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, fuck, I had no idea who you are, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, I've only been recognized like a few times, but I mean, every time it's dope. And I mean, it's just so cool that like people are like, I love your content. I'm like, that's fucking sick. Yeah. Like that's like the best feeling.
Do you have like a first time story that you could tell?
I think the first person that ever came up to me just kind of like, it was honestly a little weird. Because I mean, like, obviously it's a weird situation just because it's never happened to me before, but I was at the gym and this kid came up to me and he was just like, yo, dude. And he actually just asked me, he goes, when's the podcast coming back? And now keep in mind, this is like 8 months after I ended the podcast. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe in the future, maybe not. I'm not really sure about that. And then he goes, all right, cool, man. He goes, just want to let you know, me and my boys love your shit on TikTok and YouTube. And I was like, oh, maybe start with that next time. Cause I was a little confused, but yeah, that was kind of the first time story. And then that was cool. That was dope.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's a good question, dude. When do you think you'll ever get back into it?
I don't think I'm ever going to bring back that podcast, like I'm Lost 2 that I had necessarily, but I 100% like I got plans in the future to eventually like might do like a podcast where I have like a co-host. We might do like a co-host type of podcast or something, but I'm definitely going to do one in the future because I get a lot like comments and like a lot of DMs, like literally daily of people being like, you need to start a podcast. And I'm like, I totally would right now if I, didn't have school going on and stuff. It didn't have to do all that stuff. But as soon as I get more time, 1000%.
For sure. So I know you're in school because that's kind of like, I think the first TikTok I saw of you was the one where you on your back porch, like just drinking a Capri Sun and you were just ranting about school. And
it was pretty.
I just related to that. And so I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So obviously you're in school. Have you ever thought about like, this is a weird question. Have you ever thought about like just dropping it and just pursuing this stuff full time and taking that risk?
Yeah, like every waking moment of every day. The only problem is that I live with my parents right now, obviously, because I'm a college kid, and they would not let me live here rent free if I did not go to school. So I'm kind of So I mean, I think the kind of like my plan is right now is to kind of continue to go to the TikTok, and then in turn the YouTube's obviously going to grow with it. And then I think once obviously the YouTube gets to a point where I know that I could obviously support myself, like then I'll move out, chase the dream, get after it.
Yeah, so I definitely want to talk about more like goals and future stuff in a sec, but I keep skipping over this question. So when I was listening to your podcast just barely, you were talking about how you hit like 1,700 followers and you had like 700 the week before. I? Yeah, and so that's funny. How many months is that? That's like a year probably, and you're at 500K?
I think I was looking at, I'm almost at 700K now actually.
Judas, you were just barely at 500K like a couple weeks ago.
I know I was. It's honestly been, the last month has been insane. I've gained like 450, like 500,000 followers. But yeah, no, I remember I was actually just, cause I got like a Snapchat memory or whatever. And I was just looking at my phone and then I scrolled a little bit. And I think I started like heavily making TikToks like end of March, beginning of April. So I think it's almost been a year. So at the end of this month, I think it'll be a year.
Yeah. So when did you start seeing growth? Was it always this big, or did you kind of start out small?
No, this is all very new to me.
Yeah.
So I told you I started like March 2020, end of March, beginning of April, and I didn't get 10K till like, I don't know, like May, June, which is like, that's like a couple months. Like, I mean, like obviously like I was stoked out of my mind. I was like, holy shit, 10K in 3 months. I'm fucking balling. And so then I know I didn't hit 100K until November 20th. I don't know why I remember that date, but it's just so ingrained in my brain just because 100K, I was just like losing my shit. I was going to go streaking down the middle of my block. And so I hit like 100K November. And then going into 2021, I had like 200 some K, maybe 250K. And then all of a sudden, end of January till, it's still happening now. I've literally been gaining like 100K a week.
That is crazy. I didn't know it was that.
It's been surreal. Like it's been nuts. It's been nuts.
I didn't know it was that. I thought it would be like a steady. So you were at 100K in November. That's probably the time where I found you. And then it's been almost 600K since likely. November.
Cause that's when I hit 100K, probably after as soon as I hit like 25K, I think is when I started to really switch up my content to like what I'm doing now, which is like which feels much more natural to me and much more like my comedic style. And so, I'm happy that people like that and not the other stuff, because like the other stuff kind of felt forced at times, whereas like this feels really natural what I'm doing now. And so, November. And then, so it took me a while to hit 100K, even 200K. Like another month, but like, still a little bit longer, but now it's been fucking crazy. Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah. That's wild. That is really crazy. Sorry, I want to backtrack again because I keep like having questions.
I keep going all over the place.
No, it's perfectly fine. Problem. That's what I want, but I just keep forgetting when I'm trying to. So when we were talking about Vine and you were trying to make Vine style videos, were you like a big Vine? Were you on Vine a lot as a youth?
I really wasn't. I was like slightly too young at that time. Like it was kind of like I was kind of on the cusp there of like it like kind of ending and like something else pulling into place. And so I never really did Vines, but I always loved Vine, obviously. A lot of people love Vine. And so in my head, I was kind of like, oh, like Vine worked. Like, why wouldn't a 15-second video work? And so that was kind of my mindset in the beginning. But then I eventually changed that up to like what I'm doing now. Yeah.
So I think Vine and Musical.ly kind of walked so that TikTok could run. Do you know what I'm saying? I think TikTok found the perfect mix of those two. I think 6 seconds is just way too short. I think a minute is pretty
it was
good.
Cool. It was fun. I think that's why it died off, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like, Vine was kind of one of those apps where like, at the time, like even though it was popping, like people could definitely in their head be like, yeah, like this will eventually end. But like TikTok is like starting to become like one of those apps where I'm like, I don't know what's going to kill it, because like every app eventually dies, but it's like TikTok's just starting to feel like one of those where it's like, I don't know when this thing's going to die.
Yeah. Okay. So I was actually going to ask you about this. So what do you think? Because that's something I've been struggling with too, is like, what's the longevity of TikTok? How much can you sustain that? So what are your thoughts on that?
That's why. So TikTok, I think the thing that really like kind of like gave me like a jump start and what kind of like made me realize that like this shit could go away at any moment is when right around the election, when like Trump was like threatening to like delete the app from the app store or whatever. Yeah. When he started doing that, I was like, fuck. I was like, there's no way that I just put in all this time up until now, just to have it like all taken away. And so I was like, all right, I was planning in my head. I was like, all right, as soon as I hit 100K on TikTok is when I'll start my YouTube, because I always wanted to do YouTube and stuff. And like, so I was like, all right, I'll hit 100K, then I'll start my YouTube. So I'm not really starting from like ground zero with YouTube, because people will go over. But instead I had to start way sooner. I started like 50 when I had like 50K followers, I think, because I was like, fuck, if Trump's going to like get rid of this shit, like I need to act now and start moving people over to YouTube and Instagram and start them, get them over there. Luckily, TikTok is not taken down, but also that little like jump start I had was actually really beneficial to my YouTube. So I'm actually like, once again, really thankful for that scenario.
So I was going to ask you about that too. Why you went over to YouTube? So it was because you thought the app was going to be deleted, so you just jumped ship?
Well, it was kind of like, I always had the plan to go to YouTube, and I kind of like in my head, the plan, sort of still is the plan now. Like I like making TikToks and I like making YouTube, and I kind of just want to do content like everywhere eventually. But the plan right now, at least, is to keep going to TikTok, to in turn keep going to YouTube. But the only reason I started the YouTube so much sooner is because I thought TikTok was going away. So I kind of wanted to get people there as quickly as possible.
Gotcha. So this is kind of switching gears, but what do you think, what are some things that you picked up along the way that can kind of help a smaller creator take off on TikTok, specifically TikTok?
Yeah, I noticed like a lot of people, the big thing with TikTok, and it's just that people, the reason that the videos are only a minute long is because people nowadays have literally the attention span of like a fucking squirrel, which I realized. And so I would say, honestly, just like the tips, I guess, is just, I think the main thing, honestly, is to, be yourself. And like, I know that's like so cliche and people say that shit all the time, but honestly, like if you be you and people like you, like that's what you want. You don't want people to have like some false sense of like who you really are. And I know there's probably people out there on social media who, put on some fake persona.
Most
or whatever.
Of them, I would say, probably.
I'm not going to say anything on that, but really like just be yourself. And I think like that's like the best thing. But as in for like tips of like getting people to watch your videos, I would say within the first like 5 to 10 seconds, like do something where people are going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Like some of my videos, like I'm sure a lot of people stay just because most of my recent videos, people are like, why the fuck is he standing 11 feet away from the camera? And people are like, what's going on here? And then, you kind of hit them with like, and then you just kind of, you got to reel them in because when you're scrolling, I know when I'm scrolling, like if I'm not immediately interested, I'm fucking gone. So I think the key is to really get people interested right away and be yourself at the same time, I guess.
Yeah. Your videos are kind of like a trap because you'll like look at the thing and you'll be like, what is going on here? And then you'll just start talking and all of a sudden I'm invested, and then you'll switch over to something else and I'm invested in that now. Like you'll have like 3 TikToks in one. You'll just completely switch the conversation.
I tend to jump around topics. I know when I stay on one topic, people are always like, "Oh, wow, I didn't think you were capable of doing that." I'm like, I am. I just like to mix it up, keep you guys interested.
Yeah. So is that how you are in real life? You just all over the place?
I honestly, I have really bad ADHD, so I'm automatically like, that's like when people are like, are you actually like this in real life? Like I'm genuinely like this in real life because I'm just like normally all over the place. And like if you listen to my podcast at all, like it was all over the fucking place. Like literally from like, I'm just thinking back, like I think me and my friend, like we would have like intro or whatever, like my intro would be like 15 minutes long just because me and my friend would go back and forth and just say jokes that we didn't have written anywhere and would just go for like 15 minutes and then we would finally start it. And so I'm always all over the place, and that's just kind of like I've kind of once again back to like being myself and just turning that into my being me is just my comedy. So that's kind of the route that I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, that's like a great thing for podcasting because I've been doing this for like a solid year, and I've realized you can have a whole outline of topics, but you can burn through that quick if you're just saying it and then doing the thing that you had planned.
Yeah.
The point, like the key to podcasting, you have to improv. You can't just plan the whole thing out.
Yeah,
you'll burn through a script.
Because I know when I first like I said, the first 10 episodes, like I was really trying to just like, I definitely had a little bit of more notes written in like the first 10 episodes that I was doing. But like when I got to the end of like when I was doing like some of the last episodes, like I literally would just like 10 minutes before I fucking recorded it. I would go online, like pick like 5 things or whatever, and then I would just sit there. And if I ever needed like really in my head, the topics for me were always kind of just like a safety. Like if I really needed it and I was really losing it, I could grab one of those safeties and start going on about that. But other than that, I just fucking run it.
Mm-hmm. So I've only listened to one of your podcasts, like I said, but like, has that ever gotten you into trouble? Just like going off the top of your head? Have you ever been like editing and been like, oh, I shouldn't have done that?
I've actually, funny, and there was like, I don't know. I don't think I've really had to edit, like, honestly, too much out of like anything. I mean, like, there's obviously like some jokes where like you're like, I don't know, like, cause like I'm big on like, I mean, I hate cancel culture. Like, cancel culture is the dumbest shit ever. Like, I get for some stuff, you know, like it makes sense. Like, if people do like horrible shit or whatever, it's like, okay, that's fair. But like, I think as long as you're, and a lot of people probably, you know, don't love this, but like if you're making a joke or whatever and your intention is to joke about that thing, like pretty much everything's on the table. Because otherwise, if you get to a point, and I know like just comedians I listen to like say it all the time, like if comedy ever gets to a point where like you have to like tiptoe around stuff, it's not comedy anymore. And it's not where it's supposed to be. And like you need to push the envelope, because if you don't, then no one will.
Yeah, I agree fully. So there's no argument here. But like, cancel culture is such an interesting thing. Because I've been thinking about this the past couple of days. It's like the entertainer kind of gives cancel culture the power. Do you know what I mean? Because if you say something controversial, and this, I've just been like thinking about all these past cancels. If you say something controversial and then people get mad at you, then what happens? They just get mad at you. Like, you don't really lose anything unless you change something. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I think I know where you're kind of going with that. Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, the biggest thing, like you said, like the creator gives the cancel culture like the power, or whatever, because I think if you were honestly like attempting to make a joke, if someone ever called you out on anything, you could, if like, I know, like, just, you know, how I piece shit together, whatever, like if anyone ever said something about anything, I would literally run them through the thought process of how I got there and how it's meant to only come off as a joke. And it's just one of those things, like if you're offended or whatever, like, you know, comedy's not perfect. Like, there's going to be shit that offends people and there's going to be things that don't offend you. So laugh at the things that don't offend you and just, you know, kind of just be like, oh yeah, you know what, maybe I do that. And I am a little bit offended, but if you look at it from the outside looking in, it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I feel like for most comedians or influencers, their audience kind of knows what they're about. And so their audience isn't the one that's offended most of the time. Was that fair to say?
Most of the time, no. Yeah, I think that is fair to say, just because, I mean, I don't even know, like, I think oh man, I lost it. I don't remember what I was gonna say, but just like any comedian or something that's ever like been canceled for stuff, like most of the time it's just people on Twitter pissed off for no reason, who have nothing better to do. It's mainly just a bunch of old angry white people who have nothing better to do
for sure.
than just like cancel people on Twitter. And I'm like, all right, I mean, I don't know what the fuck you're doing here. Like, if you didn't like the joke, turn it off. Like, turn off the Netflix special.
So it's like, if their audience isn't the one getting offended, then they still have the audience. So why like come out and apologize? I guess that, I don't know if that's touchy. Apologize for the stuff that they said if their audience is still there.
I think it definitely depends on what you said. For sure. Like, I mean, like, there's obviously, like I said before, like there's things that are, you know, obviously probably to a point where, like, you know,
Logan Paul probably should have said my bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like or there's like points where it's like, okay, like that's comedy, and you're just like, you kind of need to like chill out. You know?
Yeah.
There's extremes to both sides. Like, there's one extreme where it's like, okay, maybe that person, maybe they need to chill the fuck out and get out of the social media for a little bit because they're a fucking problem. But then there's other people who are literally just, their only intention was to make a joke, and some people got a little bit too offended.
Yeah, well, and people will like justify it and stuff and say that this is, you know, racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever you want to say. But then it's like, where does that line kind of end? That's the scary part. Where does that end?
See, that's the tough thing to kind of wrap your head around is like with this cancel culture, and anyone who's ever canceled anybody doesn't know where that line is either. They don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows where that line is. And like, that's the thing is like comedians and anyone who does comedy pushes that line because that's their fucking job.
Yeah.
And then as soon as some comedians will just push it a little too hard, and then people will be like, oh, I didn't like that. I hate you now. Your career should be ruined.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's like, I talked about it with actually Justin on his podcast. It's like, there's this weird space with cancel culture where it's like, you're not getting arrested for anything. Like, you didn't break the law, but also you can't have a career and you lose everything. Basically. It's a really weird space.
It's such a weird, cancel culture is just so weird as a whole, and it's just it's so negative, honestly, as a whole. Like, it's such a negative space. Like, why? Like, I mean, like, obviously you know what I know. Like, you've seen a comedian, sometimes you'll be like, shit, like, that's exactly what I do, and I do kind of look like a fucking idiot, but you know what? It's a little funny when they say it, so I'm just gonna deal with it.
Yeah. Do you ever get like afraid, especially if you're gonna continue to do TikTok stand-up? Do you think you'll ever like dance around, like walk on eggshells with that, or do you think you'll just have no fear?
No, I mean, I kind of just, I mean, like, I think I know where, like, you know, how my fans know how I think, and I know where like my morals are, and like I know that, like, you know, everything that I've said on TikTok or whatever, like I'll gladly show it to anybody. Like, I'm not like I'm good. Like, you know.
Yeah. It is scary though, dude. I sometimes get a little nervous with the stuff I say, because I do like 30 minutes of just rambling after interviews, most podcasts. And I just, you know, your mind goes places. I don't say anything too bad, but it's like I kind of feel like I have to pay attention to what I'm talking about sometimes. Yeah,
I mean, you definitely do. I mean, it's just like a lot of times it's one of those things where it's just like, you know, some jokes that were okay like 15 years ago are now, you know, an absolute no like nowadays. So it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I think what I do is, you know, I mean, like I said, like, I know where my head's at. I know where my morals are. Like, I'm not worried right now. I mean, I'm not worried about it. And, you know, knock on wood, I'm good.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So we talked about it a little bit with what you're trying to accomplish here in the future, but like, let's just kind of wrap it up in a bow. Like, what is your goals for the next year? Because from last year, like, everything's changed basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was even coming into this year, it was like, I mean, I had like 200K, but I wasn't like, you know, getting recognized or like people coming up to or like people are really not much of anything. But yeah, now, I mean, a lot of shit's changed. It's really weird. Like, even my YouTube is crazy. I think it's almost at 25K subs, which is just like, it's just like surreal that like all of this is just like, you know, started happening right now. I mean, it's dope, but like, I'm so thankful, but like, it's just crazy to think about. But yeah. So you said long-term goals?
Just like in the next year or whatever you want. Just your goals for the future.
Yeah, in the next year. Yeah, for the next year, I have in my head, for the next year, I remember when I started this year, I wrote down I wanted to get 1 million on TikTok, which I didn't think
probably get
was going to be so much close. Which wasn't even, which I didn't think was going to be as close now that I'm starting March. Like, I thought like this was going to be like a way down the road thing. And I also wrote down, I really sent it for the YouTube goal, and I wrote down 500K for YouTube. I was really shooting for the stars there.
Yeah, you could do
and
it.
And then, no, I mean, that's why I wrote it down.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just to give myself, just so that I see that every day, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta make a video. I gotta keep it going. You know, I mean, I love making videos, obviously, but it's always nice to have that there just to remind you like why you're doing it. And then the last goal is drop out of college and like chase the whole dream.
So your metric for dropping out was, what was your just being able to support yourself with that?
Yeah, as soon as I get to a point where like I could, you know, support myself, pay for my own things, like stuff like that, like that's when I'll drop out.
Gotcha. Okay, well, those are good goals. What's one thing you kind of struggle with as a content creator, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, or whatever you're trying to do?
That's a good question. Fuck, I don't know. That's a great, let me think. Some things I struggle with. I would say probably, I don't know. I think sometimes I let myself get too comfortable with the style of content that I'm making at a certain moment. Like a lot of times, like kind of for the last month, I was doing like a lot of just like stand up in front of the camera and like say some stuff. and just kind of doing that style of like comedy, which is like, it's dope that it works, but I also need to remind myself that like I, need to not always stay with what's comfortable and like break out of my comfort zone and do slightly different, like still in my comedy style, which is different, types of video. Like even reverting back to like some of the stuff, like you said, you saw that video of me in my porch with my Capri Suns, like just fucking, just taking it all in. Like sometimes I just need to like, revert back to like something like that, or like do like some different stuff. So I think that's, I guess, in a sense, something I struggle with is sometimes I let myself get a little bit too comfortable in making the same style of videos, which obviously people like. And I'm not saying I want to like change my style. Like I like my style, but just, I don't know, just little tweaks, see if stuff works better, worse,
So how do you go about that? Because that's something I think about a lot, is like one of the most important things I think when like creating, and obviously I haven't like made it or anything. I'm not a name that anybody should know, but like, I feel like your content has to be different. Like people have to have a reason to watch you. And you've obviously set yourself apart from a lot of people. That's why you're working on TikTok. But how do you go about like looking at your content and then trying to change it up or move it in different directions? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, it does. I would say the way that I change it, I don't know. I mean, I think it's really just kind of like if I think of something new, or like if I try. The biggest thing, honestly, what I do for everything is I'll think of something. Like it could just be like some random topic. Like I see you got like a deer on the back of your wall. And so like, I'll think like, deer. And then I'll like, literally I'll just write deer in my notes, like no context whatsoever. I'll write deer. And then I'll just have like these random notes of just random fucking topics. And then I'll just come back to one that like, I think I got something on that day. And then the way that I could try and change it up is kind of like see if I could maybe like mix together like two ideas in one video, or like see if I could like kind of, because sometimes like when I make those stand-up videos, like I could easily, where I'm just standing in front of the camera, like I could easily, like with that topic in my head, I feel like it's better for me to be standing in front of the camera, talking, moving my hands, making some type of motion to get people attention. Whereas like other times, like, again, going back to like that Capri Sun on my back porch, just sitting there, like that video would not have, like if I was standing in front of the camera, that wouldn't have A, been as funny, and B, would have definitely flopped. Like it's just like, a lot of times it's just like looking at the idea and then thinking about the scenario that it would be funniest in, and then running with that.
Yeah. So setting is kind of an important part when you're planning your videos then.
Yeah, especially like TikTok. Like obviously it's different when you're thinking in terms of like stand-up bits or like a podcast or something like that. Like that's different because most of the time you're talking about topics that you are specifically intending to perform in front of people or, over audio where people like, that you don't have necessarily like props or something around you or a different setting. But for TikTok, that's honestly one of the nice things about it. And with YouTube too, whereas like your surroundings or whatever, your setting can change the comedy a lot.
Gotcha. So has there ever been like a video where you were trying to do something different from like your regular thing and you really liked it and it just didn't didn't perform as well?
There was actually recently I tried to do like I honestly think it was just because I kind of left the joke half sort of like almost 20 seconds into the video. So I like at least the first punchline. So I think people weren't there yet, but I did kind of like a, I don't even know. It was almost like it almost looked like a fucking audition tape, but it was almost like, someone was looking at me through the camera. It was like I think I just said like POV or something. And someone was like technically the person watching is my roommate, John, I said. And then halfway through, I was like, it was kind of just, it looked all serious in the beginning. And it was like, I was getting like very angry. And then I was like, I need to go to work and you need to stop shoving your car keys up or my car keys up your ass. And like, it kind of like that's when, and so I kind of just like, it looked really serious. And then it was kind of like that flip punchline where like, people were like, did he just say shove his car keys up his ass or whatever? And so it was kind of that kind of flop. That like definitely, I mean, not necessarily flop, but it didn't do as well as my other videos do. But yeah, that's just kind of one of those things where it's like every once in a while, I'll like, maybe try something different, see if it works, see if I like it, see if I like doing that better or whatever, and just kind of like, experiment with things.
Yeah, well, that kind of sucks, dude, as a creator, because that's like a funny video, but just with the algorithm of TikTok, it doesn't, like you said, the first half kind of people don't understand what's gonna happen, so they kind of move over it. Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, because I was gonna originally put like POV my roommate John, who won't stop shoving his car. But then I was like, that's like, I'm literally telling them the joke.
Yeah.
And like, I knew it would have probably made more people stay, but I didn't want to do that because I was like, I just want anyone who watches this, I want them to be like thoroughly like surprised and be like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah. And that's the funny part of the video. It's just weird that's how like TikTok is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I got you.
So what's a piece of advice that you would give somebody that's trying to come up? We kind of talked about something similar to this, but just in the creative industry.
I think the piece of advice would be like every single day, like be consistent. Be consistent. That's the biggest thing. Like whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, like wherever you're at, you need to be consistent. Whether that consistency is, YouTube is more of like a, twice or once a week type of thing, just because it's so much more commitment and so much more editing things to do. But I mean, if you're doing TikTok, like, it's like post every day, every day, even if it's one video a day, like post every day, because if you don't post every day and like your people who follow you, if they don't see your face all the time, like they're going to forget about you. Like they're going to, if you're not popping up all the time and you're not on their feed, like every single day, like they're going to eventually be like, oh, why am I following this person? Like, why am I looking at their content? Like they never post, like this is stupid. So I think the biggest thing is be consistent and just like work at, pushing and just constantly getting shit out every single day and building content.
So you're posting on TikTok every day. On YouTube, are you going once or twice a week?
It kind of just depends on school and how much they're fucking throttling my ass during that week. But I try, the goal is, I always want to get 2, but 100%, no matter what I have, if I'm failing a fucking class, like I'm getting 1 video out at least, bare minimum. A week. And then also I want to just go back real quick to what you said about, or when we were talking about being consistent or whatever. And I would say that another thing is that what's crazy is sometimes, especially in the beginnings and even a little bit later on, but you kind of know what your comedy is and what people like. But there's been times, I think the biggest thing with my YouTube, and it was actually one of the videos, because I posted a clip to my TikTok for this YouTube video. I literally was up till 4 a.m, like editing, re-editing, going over clips. And I probably went over shit like 70 fucking times. And I was sitting there and I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, I don't know if this is like funny enough. I don't know. Like I was getting in my own head. It was 4 a.m. I was like, clearly not in the right headspace. And then I fucking went to bed, woke up, edited some more, and I was sitting there like looking at the post button, and it was the video was supposed to post in 1 minute. And I was looking at the YouTube video and I'm like, I think it's funny. And at that time, I wasn't thinking about the fact that I literally went over all the jokes like 70 times. So obviously they're not going to be fucking funny to me anymore, because I know every punchline, but I wasn't thinking about that. And so I was like, I don't know, like it's, and I was like, and then I finally, like 30 seconds before I posted, I was like, you know what? This is entertaining. I'm fucking posting it. Fuck this. I post the clip to TikTok. Don't think anything of it. I go like chill out for a little bit. And then probably like an hour and a half later, I'm like, whatever, I'll look at my phone. And because I was about to go to the gym, so I grabbed my phone, open it up, and that TikTok clip that I posted was already at like 250,000 views. And I was like, what the fuck? And then literally that entire day, I was gaining literally like 1K subs an hour.
That's ridiculous.
On YouTube.
That's crazy.
And I literally I was 30 seconds away from being like, I'm not posting this today.
Yeah.
So I guess, so what I wanted to circle back to was post. Like there's been times on TikTok, like plenty of times where I'm like, this shit is fucking gas. This is going viral, flops like crazy. Then I'll make some stupid video of me saying absolutely nothing for 60 seconds and it gets 1 million likes. Like you never, like, there's a point where it's like, obviously don't post shit content. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is sometimes like, you're the worst, hypocrite, like on yourself. Like I know I am. And so like when I look at something, like even if I'm like a lot of times when I'm like, oh, this is like an 8 YouTube video or whatever, like people will see it as like a 10 or 11 just because I'm making it so hard on myself. So like a lot of times once again, like if you're posting TikTok videos, if you're like, oh, if you think this one is an 8 or whatever and it flops, but then you think this other one is a 7 and you're like, oh, if the 8 didn't do well, I don't want to post a 7. Well, it's like, no, post the fucking 7 because other people might think it's a fucking, 37.
Yeah,
and they might love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually, that's way interesting. So I used to make YouTube videos before I started this podcast. I kind of stopped, but yeah, that's something you don't really think about is no matter what you're trying to make. So you come up with the joke initially and you write it down in the script or whatever you're doing because you think it's funny. Initially, you think it's funny because it's the first time you've thought of that joke, heard the joke. But then...
Yeah, or a lot of times it's...
No, go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
You got it.
Oh, I was just going to say that, like, all of my I never necessarily think of a joke for TikTok or YouTube. I actually pretty much just, like, maybe just think of a topic and then run with it. Like, that's what I do with my podcast. So literally, like, 95% of it is just, like, straight improv of just improv comedy. Yeah. And so really what I'm trying to say is, like, the idea that you have or something, that's why when I was going through that YouTube video, like they were jokes that I made on the spot, obviously, like all the other YouTube videos, but it was just that I watched them so many times that I was like, shit, I don't even know if this is fucking funny anymore. But go ahead. Whatever. Yeah, well,
that's what I was getting at. So we have different styles because yours are definitely improv. It's like you're just cooking in an apron and then driving or just like random situations like that. You just because you have that ability, you could just put yourself in a situation and then stuff will happen and you just crack jokes. When I was making videos, I wrote scripts and stuff, so I'd have jokes written, and then just try and perform them to the camera. And so I would write the joke, and then the whole, like, whatever couple days before I film, I'd be thinking about those jokes. I'd film the jokes. I'd edit them over and over again, like you said. And then after all that, you're just like, that wasn't that funny. After you've heard it that many times. But that first time you heard it, you thought it was funny, or the first time you thought of that.
Exactly.
Like, that's why you said it. That's why you wrote it. And it's that's just something interesting that you don't really think about when you're making stuff. Yeah,
and that's why I think it's tougher online, like doing all this online content. And I definitely think online content and everything like that is 100% the new wave, especially with the whole pandemic and everything. People are realizing that like this shit is like real and like people are blowing up on TikTok and other places and shit like that. And I think that the main thing is that when you're making content online, you hear the joke. And you like know what it is or whatever. And then before anyone else hears it, like anyone else besides yourself, you then send that to millions of people. Whereas if you're a stand-up comic, you could try a new bit. And if it fucking fails, okay, there was only 100 people at the comedy club that night. Yeah. Like it's not the end of the world, but it's so different. And it's just a lot harder to know because even when you're stand-up comic, like if you do a joke 30 times but people laugh every time, you're not going to sit there and be like, well, I don't think it's funny anymore. Well, if you don't think it's funny, it doesn't matter. Fucking thousands of other people think it's funny, no matter how many times you do it.
Yeah, that's actually
so it's different and it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah,
there's no trial and error on the internet. You kind of just have the joke and you just put it out there and everybody
you just
sees
throw it out there and you're like, I hope this one lands.
It's pretty terrifying. Like, and mine's even small scale. I don't have that many, but every time I put something out there. And like you said earlier, it's like you don't know what you're gonna what's gonna work with your audience when you're posting it.
Yeah, like I said, I thought that those 15-second videos were gonna kill, and that was gonna be like, honestly, to be completely honest with you, the reason I started posting podcast clips from my podcast to TikTok was because I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. The podcast clips are going to blow up, which in turn will blow up the podcast. It's just going to work out all fine and easy like that. Obviously didn't turn out that way, but that was kind of where my head was at. I was like, oh yeah, this will blow up or whatever. And it's kind of like, it's just one of those things where like, I mean, you might think you have a plan, but then a lot of times like my podcast, like I was doing that for like a year. And funny enough, I actually got an email or whatever at the end of the year of 2020 that and it gave me like, I forgot my podcast was still on Spotify and I was like, and then just from people looking up my name, my podcast like grew like 300% from me not even promoting it just because people were finding my name online and I was busting my ass back then just to get it out to however many, people were listening every week.
Yeah, that's another funny thing is when I looked that up and I saw that you had your podcast, I was like, I've never seen him promote this ever.
Yeah,
had no idea
it was
this
just so
existed.
old. I mean, like it's just it's so crazy. Just like think about like how far, because like people, and a lot of times when people look at like my stuff, obviously now they think that like, oh, he started on TikTok and now he's trying to
Yeah,
move to YouTube. Like, no, it's
yeah,
I've been fucking
mm-hmm.
on this shit for a while,
Yeah,
and it's just like, I mean, it's been a good. I mean, it's almost going to be like a full like 2 years of me
mm-hmm.
like consistently making content and getting
Mm-hmm.
better and like making better jokes and like improving. And so, I mean, yeah, it's been a while, but it's been awesome,
Yeah,
and I fucking love it.
yeah. So when we were talking about consistency, I was gonna say that's the one thing every single person that's ever made something or ever had success with something is gonna tell you. Like if you're thinking of
Yeah.
like if you're trying to find a tip, they'll always say consistency. Every single
Oh
person.
yeah.
Every
Like
single person.
it's especially. I mean, like obviously you get to a point where like once you like really make it, like
Mm-hmm.
then obviously yeah, sure, those people, yeah, they could take off a day or two here and people are still gonna love it the next day
Yeah.
because they've established that
Yeah.
like following and their fans, whatever. But like when you're fucking starting off, like you got to be on that grind and like you have to be
Yeah.
consistent because if you're not consistent, like you're gonna lose those people. And I
Mm-hmm.
always try to like, I think another great way to put it is to I always try to put my mind in like, I kind of like try and think from the other perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So when I watch back one of my videos, like I obviously have TikTok like drafts of my phones or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
like if I watch the 15 seconds and I'm not fucking entertained, why are they gonna
Yeah,
be
for
entertained?
sure.
You
For
know?
sure. Yeah.
So it's like, well, if I'm not entertained, they're not gonna be entertained. And like that's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing with my YouTube videos. Like when I'm cutting stuff out, like I want to get people interested right away. That's why I started doing I don't know if you watched it in my YouTube videos, but like in the beginning when I first started making YouTube videos, I would do like a little intro and kind of say a bunch of stuff, but that took
Mm-hmm.
up like a minute. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I was like, this shit's fucking boring. And I was
Yeah.
like, nobody wants to see this intro bullshit. And
Yeah.
so instead,
Yeah.
in the first like 5 seconds of the video, I'll put like a funny, just like out of context clip. And then
Yeah.
it'll just do like a quick little like roll of like, hey, what's up? Like and subscribe, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, just get to the video. And that's just like a quick little 10 seconds. And then boom, I'm right in your face. Like,
Yeah.
what's up, fuckers? Like, let's get into this shit, And then people
Yeah.
are interested and they're ready to watch.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a difficult thing to do. I've tried to do that a lot when I'm looking at my own content, is kind of take a step out of your own perspective and watch it from like the masses perspective, or like look at
Yeah,
your
I mean,
content with a different eye. It's a very strange
yeah,
concept.
I mean, it's not, I mean, it definitely, I've always tried to think like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just another one of those things where you just like get better with it with time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously I'm not perfect at like recognizing that. Like no one's ever going to be perfect at
Yeah.
recognizing
Yeah.
that. Like you're not going to know what people always like, but it's kind of just one of those things where like if you slowly start to like figure it out and you look at other videos that you posted
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just looked at the past and then like kind of what you're thinking about in the future, like you kind of just figure out how you're getting people to stay. And then the biggest thing that I really looked at was like, if I'm, even though it's my own jokes and like my own stuff and I know what's coming up
Mm-hmm.
like in the video, is I need to make sure that if after 30 times of going through this, if I'm still able to sit through and watch it, well then yeah, this is entertaining, this is good, because
Yeah.
I've watched it 30 times.
Yeah.
If I could still
Yeah. For
sit through
sure.
this and watch this,
Mm-hmm.
then other people are going to be entertained. So I think
Yeah.
starting in your head with you being able to sit through and watch your own content, that's the biggest thing I think to start with, to kind of get your head in that right space to start looking at it from the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. That's solid, dude. Yeah. I've had to figure a lot of that stuff out when trying to make stuff like this. Is like, how do you look at all your videos and take, I don't know, when you look at ones that did good, how do you like analyze? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like how do I like personally analyze them?
Yeah. How do you personally analyze, like, this video did good, this one didn't, so I need to fix this or change this?
I think I did that more in the beginning with TikTok, just because like, obviously when you're first growing, like you have no idea what works. Like I had no
Yeah.
idea what I was
Yeah.
doing. I mean, I still barely know what the fuck I'm doing,
Yeah.
but it's kind of just like, you, especially like I said, like in the beginning of TikTok, like I was really trying to figure that out and like really trying to see what would work. And then now I don't necessarily do like analyze them as my TikTok videos as much, just because, I've kind of built what my comedy is and my fans know like how I am as a person. So I kind of just try and stick to that now. But in terms of like YouTube and like analyzing stuff, like if I like once again, like if I'm not entertained, like if there's this part in the video for like 5 seconds where I'm like, I don't know, maybe I don't need that in. If I ever like second guess myself, it's out.
Yeah.
Immediately cut the clip out. I'm not even thinking about leaving it in there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's like, I know I didn't fully answer the question, but it's kind of just like tough to, really like bring that all together. Cause sometimes I think sometimes I just do it like subconsciously, and it's kind of just like me trying to improve is me really looking at other videos, but like, I don't even realize it. So it's kind of just like tough to grasp that, I guess.
Yeah. So wrapping up here a little bit, what's like a piece of media or like, I don't know, it could be anything like a book, a film, an album or something just like that inspires you or that you've learned something from that you kind of hold personal?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of stuff that's pretty, put me on the spot. I love, honestly, one of the biggest people that people like think is like insane or whatever is Kanye.
Yeah.
I personally love Kanye. And I think that, I mean, like, everyone's like, oh, he's insane. It's like, yeah, like shut up. Like everybody's got their problems. Like it doesn't really matter. But he's seriously like, if anyone's ever got time, like to seriously listen to like Kanye's music and like start from like his like first album and like continue on, like, it's like the shit's like very like, I mean, it's very good, obviously, but it's also like very like inspiring and like just like listen to him, like how he like comes up with shit and just like how, and like really also, if you listen to his albums and stuff, like he was like I know on this one album, like 808s and Heartbreaks, like a lot of people like 808 or whatever, like it's like that big bass that you hear in all rap songs now. People weren't like really utilizing that before him. And he put that out there, and now that's literally the biggest thing in rap. Like every single rap song nowadays has an 808. Like that's like the staple. And so just to like see his drive and like just like, what he's come from, what he's made of himself, and just like his music in general and how creative it is. And just like people, a lot of people will be like, oh, Runaway is such a long song, and like why did he make it 9 minutes? If you seriously like listen to the entire song, like
100%.
It's very impressive how he was able to like creatively come up with that, like from start to finish, because you might think, oh, 9 minute song, that's like too long and stupid. But in reality, making 9 minutes that flows seamlessly together, yet also making it feel like it has a beginning and an end is very impressive. And that's why I just like love Kanye.
Yeah. So I wanted to wrap up, but dude, Kanye, I never really liked Kanye until about, I don't know, like fall of last year. And he's my number one artist. He quickly went to my number one.
Yes.
There's not like I listened to like obviously like some Life of Pablo and like his newer stuff that was kind of popular.
Yeah. I mean, like everyone's gonna listen to popular songs when they're out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of with that, and then I had tried to listen to like College Dropout and Late Registration, but it never clicked with me. And all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Listened to his whole discography, and that's pretty much all I listen to now is Kanye West.
Yeah, literally, like literally no bullshit. Like anyone listening, like if you have the time, like even in your car, like people have time. Like you think you don't have time, like you're in your car. Like a lot of times when like the way that like I do a lot of stuff or like, learn different things. Cause like, I got a lot of shit going on. So it's like tough to like just sit down and listen to stuff. So a lot of times if I need to get a run in, like I'll do two things at once, and I'll like, I'll just put on like, I mean, this was like a while ago when I was first getting into Kanye, but I put on the College Dropout, like, nope, don't put that shit on shuffle.
No.
Like,
No.
Top of the album and go down. And like, it's just so good. And honestly, another one to listen to from start to finish, a lot of people, this album was kind of just like looked over, but J. Cole's For Your Eyes Only, if you listen to it from start to finish, it's literally the best story album I've ever heard in my life. Like no bullshit.
I love
but yeah,
that
literally
album.
Kanye, especially the College Dropout, like I literally from start to finish, and like people think like, they just listen to the songs on there. You need to listen to the other stuff because like you said, you listen to it, I know there's that one, I don't know what the skit's exactly called, but like Kanye, he has someone start talking about, how like, oh, like this guy's dad has like, a master's or
The
a
School
doctorate
Spirit
degree.
ones.
And
That's my
and all he
favorite
did was
line of like skit and
yes,
School Spirit is
yes,
probably my favorite Kanye song. I love that song so
dude,
much.
100%. Sorry, 100%. Like
Yeah.
literally, like when I was listening to that, I was like, I've never agreed with anything more.
Yeah.
Like this is like so like I mean like people could go to college and get a fucking doctorate degree, but then next thing you know they're $500,000 in debt.
Yeah.
They don't know what the fuck they want to do with their life, and they're just fucking lost. And one of those people just listen to those popular songs. Like I'm pretty sure it's All Falls Down. Like that's very popular song, but in it he's saying like like she won't drop out of college because her parents will be like disappointed, and like now she can't afford a car, named her daughter Alexis, all this shit. And I was like, like it's very creative. It's creatively done so well that like you really need to listen to it. And like I really encourage everybody to go listen to at least The College Dropout all the way through start to finish, and just go through his albums because it's outstanding.
Yeah, I would do all of them, dude. There's not one person that has like more tens in his discography. He's made so many albums, and all of them are at least a 9, at least.
Yep. It literally like, and just like the topics that he talks about, and just like the stuff that like he brings in like real shit, and like people like like I said, like going to like how so many people are focused on going to college, but then like a lot of people don't want to talk about how a lot of them can't find a job and also hate their job, but just did it because their parents told them that they needed to.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of that skit. You could be a secretary, all that stuff is so funny.
When they went to college, and the reason that they're higher than you is because they're with the family. It's fucking, it's crazy. It's all real shit though.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I love it.
One more Kanye thing. When I listened over to his discography the first time, I realized like so much modern stuff took stuff from Kanye. Like even like lyrics I would recognize, or like beats or sounds, or like a good example would be like what's it called? New Workout Plan. And that J. Cole sample.
Yeah, J. Cole
Not a lot of
that.
people would know that. Not a lot of people would know that.
Nobody knows.
But it's just funny stuff like that. So many, like you can just hear the inspiration. Like if you just look at Kanye, people will say he's like the most inspirational or the most influential artist. But I was always just like, no, he's not. Like how? Until I actually listen and I can 100% see it. There's so much influence.
And the reason I think that people like don't notice his influence so much is because like when he would put shit out, like you would kind of see like, once again, back to 808s and Heartbreaks, like people would be like, oh, he released that right when 808s were popular. No. He made 808s popular. He didn't just release it when everyone else started doing it. Like, no, he released that, and everyone else is like, this is the fucking shit. Like, we need to start doing this.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing is like when there's a classic artist, whatever it may be, like movies, and they like start something, but people don't know they started it, and so they think it's cliche. But it's like, no, they started that cliche. Like everyone else followed that.
They started that and everyone else followed. And honestly, one last thing for Kanye is one big thing. Here, I'm going to make sure that I get it right. Yeah. But it's called, I'm pretty sure that it's on YouTube. I actually watched this recently. I never watched it before, but I'm pretty sure it's the Runaway. Like, it's not just the song Runaway, but it's like, Kanye West Runaway full-length film.
Yeah, I was wondering what that... I've seen that in my recommended. I'd never watched it, though.
It's like 34 minutes. Nope. If you seriously... Like, the first like, 14 minutes, not going to lie, you're going to be confused, and you're going to be like... You're going to be sitting there, and you're going to be like, you know what? Kanye's great, but this is the stupidest shit that he's ever made. Yeah. But then it gets to a point where, like, all of a sudden it starts connecting together, and then you're like... He was, like bringing up like real world issues like the entire time, and like bringing things to light, and then it kind of like goes, and then the entire second half of it, I was literally just like blown away, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking creative genius. This is why he's the fucking GOAT. Yeah. And it's just such a good thing to watch. So if anyone has the time, like seriously check that out.
Yeah, dude. Crazy stuff, man. Go listen to Kanye. All right. Last question, probably the most important question you'll ever get in an interview, okay?
Wow. All right. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, you better be. Who, in your opinion, is the baddest girl on TikTok right now?
Oh, dude. Oh my God. That's tough. That is a tough one. Honestly, I feel like I need to just go with who I initially saw when opening the app, and that was that Livy Dunn girl.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Isn't she like the gymnast girl?
Yeah. I feel like I gotta go with her
Mm-hmm.
just because like when I first went on the app, like she was one of the first girls that I probably followed.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, for
think I have
sure.
to go with her just based off of that.
Awesome, dude. That's a good choice. I respect it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I usually like struggle to get like 30 minutes talking to somebody, but we did an hour. I don't even have to do like the post show now, so thank you for that. That was great, dude.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I'm happy. Trust me, I am great at just talking for
Yeah,
fucking hours. So
that's
if you
perfect.
need to go longer or whatever, like I'm here.
No, that's totally cool. We should wrap it up right here. Do you
All
want to
right,
like
sounds
throw your
great.
socials out where people can follow you?
Oh yeah, sure. So my Instagram is, well, my TikTok is, and YouTube are both just Anthony Koz.
Mm,
That's Anthony KOZ, not COZ, by the
yeah,
way. And my Instagram is Anthony Koz underscore. And honestly, my Instagram in the bio, there's like a link tree, so that has
yeah,
all
yeah,
of them. So
yeah,
honestly, my Instagram is probably the best place to go. It's just, once again, Anthony Koz underscore. That's Anthony KOZ underscore, and then go to my link tree and there's all the stuff there. And
yeah,
follow my Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter.
yeah.
Snapchat, go subscribe to my Snap or whatever. It's basically just like a private story that's extremely public.
Mm,
So we have fun there. But yeah,
yeah. All right, man. Dude, thanks for coming on. That was super fun. I enjoyed it.
of course, man. Happy to be here.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later, dude.